This day and time. What happened today, years ago?
And yet, sticking with June 29th, we pivot again, this time to 1914. And here we see another kind of system, political, military, proving maybe surprisingly fragile, leading to just catastrophic results. We're talking about the July crisis. The Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated the day before, on June 28th. So what was it about June 29th that made it such a critical point in that slide towards World War I?
Oh, you absolutely need the context. Europe at that time was just this incredibly complex tangle of defensive alliances. You had nationalism surging everywhere, a huge arms race underway. And the Balkans, where the assassination happened, were famously called the powder keg of Europe. Austria, Hungary, and Russia had directly competing interests there. So the assassination on the 28th, that lit the fuse. But it was the decisions made immediately after that really caused the explosion.
Okay, so the Archduke is dead on the 28th. What specifically happened on the 29th that pushed things forward?
The key thing on June 29th was really about the internal discussions and decisions within the Austro-Hungarian government. Essentially, the factions arguing for a strong military response against Serbia started to gain the upper hand.
The Hawks took charge.
Pretty much. While the final ultimatum and declaration of war were still weeks away, it was around the 29th that the mindset shifted decisively. They began to see the assassination less as just a crime to be investigated, and more as the perfect excuse, the pretext they'd almost been waiting for, to crush Serbia and reassert their own power in the region.
So the intent to use this as a justification for war really solidified then?
Yes, that momentum built critically on the 29th. It set the trajectory for everything that followed in July.
And that decision, that intent, was then massively reinforced just a few days later by Germany's famous blank check, right?
Absolutely pivotal, yes. On July 5th, Germany's Kaiser and Chancellor basically told Austria-Hungary, whatever you decide to do about Serbia, we've got your back, unconditionally.
Which sounds supportive, but potentially dangerous.
Hugely dangerous. Germany, critically, seemed to believe that any conflict could be kept local, that Russia wouldn't, or perhaps couldn't, step in to protect Serbia in a wider war.
A massive miscalculation in hindsight.
A catastrophic miscalculation. It emboldened Austria-Hungary to be aggressive, but it also tied Germany's own fate to whatever Vienna did. It drastically reduced the chances for diplomacy and made a much larger war almost inevitable.
And it certainly didn't stay localized, which leads to that striking description often used for this period, nations acting like sleepwalkers. What does that really capture about the start of the war?
Yeah, the sleepwalkers analogy, used by historian Christopher Clark and others, is powerful. It suggests that the leaders and nations involved were making these fateful decisions within a really dangerous international system, a system they had helped create, but without fully grasping the terrible consequences